Welcome back everyone to the Museum of Pinetopia, where today I need to build a dome to fit on top of my roof. And for this dome I'm going to need three different types of blocks. Now one of them is going to be a decorative block, and for that I have chosen amethyst since I have plenty of amethyst now due to the amethyst geodes that I have downstairs. Then the second one I'll need are shroom lights. Now I have 34 of these right now. Now if my calculations are right, I'm actually going to be needing 36 of those. So I'll be making one of those, or two more of those, so that I can have that complete. Alright, good, perfect. Let's get this out of the way and see if I can. Alright, there are more than two here actually, so I'm in luck. Of course, that's if I can actually retrieve them. There's one of them. And there's two of them. So now I have 36 of them. Alright, that's all I'll be needing here. I could take down the rest of this at a later time. So now I have the shroom lights I need. I have the decorative block I need. I also need a structural block. Now the structural block I've decided on was smooth stone. I was trying to think what other ones I could use. I was thinking of copper, but I don't have nearly enough of that. I'm rather low on sand, so using concrete didn't sound too good. So I'm going to try smooth stone. If that doesn't work out, then at a later time I could try to replace it with something else. But let's first get an idea if the whole idea of this dome works in the first place. I just realized that the outer rim that I was planning on building on top of is slab. And since it's slab, it means that we're not going to be able to have a smooth transition in there. So I'm going to have to replace the top layer of slabs, not for the whole thing, but just for the circle here. Replace that with full blocks, and I could take those blocks and use that as the foundation. Now let's see if I could do this without wrecking everything here. Just going to start out with the corners. And then we can take care of the center points. Of course, I have to make sure that I go and pick all that stuff up since I really don't want to get rid of it. Now let's see what we have here. Alright, we will be needing that there, I guess. Actually, that's a little bit... that was at the wrong spot. We want these to be in the corners. Then we can take care of the ones that are in the center. All we have to do is take out these four and those four, and now we have, oh, it's all around there. Now this corner is filled in when technically it's not part of it, but I think from the point of view of structure it makes sense to have that also up there, even though it's not technically part of the domed area. Now I need to pick that stuff up. Now we can place our smooth stone. Now I will leave off the corners for the smooth stone. And we'll just put this all over. 1, 2, 3, 4. That'll be the second phase of that. Then on top of there, we are going to be placing our shroom lights, or at least the first bit of it, because we are going to be having shroom lights elsewhere, and we're also going to have these up there like that. And that's going to go and form the arches. So the central arches will be all made out of the support material. There we go. Now, on this layer though, we are going to have, actually, I guess I didn't need 36 because I think it looks like I'll be needing 8 fewer than 36, so that would mean 28 then instead, what I really needed. Oh well. I'll probably be needing those streamlines at some point in the future. So I guess it doesn't matter all that much. A few extra are definitely not going to hurt. There we go. There and there. Right, so that gives me plenty of light. So now I need to start adding decorative blocks. Next we have the decorative blocks, and we'll start that by moving right over here. Ah, nice and musical. And oh yes, I probably should not have put that in there, because there I want to have, are those villagers? Yes, looks like I'm being invaded. For these corners, I'm going to have to place this over here and do that. I'm going to have to do that for each of the 4 corners. Place a temporary block there. I will remove the temporary blocks later. And then our third one. And then we'll be done with, okay, our first layer was the one where we had the structure blocks. The second layer is where we had the light. So our third layer is the place where we started with our decorative blocks. Good. And then fourth layer. This next layer is a lot trickier because there are no spaces where I can actually fit into the next section. I just needed to have temporary blocks all over in order to have anything at all there. And what did I do wrong? The next layer should be on top of the previous. Alright, and we'll start with that. This time it's only 4 on the sides instead of 6 on the sides. Oh, yes, of course. I do need to make sure I keep the structure in there. Now for the filler, and for those, once again, put in a temporary block. This time though, I will have one of these on each side of this. And that should fill it in nicely. Well, not if I do something like that. Now we're at a point where we're not going to have any overlap, so I'm going to have to start with the support block there, but I think it's going to be solid enough that we won't have to do that more than once. And then over on this side, we can, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 for that. And then we will have, yes, 6 there. Actually, yes, this is actually a continuation on this one now. 4, 5, 6. Then that gives us the foundation for that one. So that's 1, 2, 3. Keep on forgetting the support blocks. Oh well, let's just 2, and actually probably the last time I'm going to decide to do something with support blocks because I keep on forgetting those crazy things. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2 on there. And this just leaves one top layer, and I think we will be done. Let's put in the smooth stone first. That's the bit that I always forget. That leaves us with very, very little amethyst at the very, very top. Oh well. I guess we'll just have to see how it looks when we get inside. That is actually a complete dome. Now, I wanted to cap this off with a little bit of peak made of shroom lights, and the reason I wanted to do this, actually let's go 2 layers. Sort of like a little bit of a tower on top, and since it got the extra pieces in there. Right. Let's go and see how it looks. I think the idea with the smooth stone would work a lot better if I had an odd number instead of an even number for what I was doing here, because then I'd have a thin line and much thicker on the amethyst. I'm going to leave it this way for a little while, and if I decide that I want to replace the smooth stone with the amethyst or with some alternate support block, then I can do so at a later time. But at least now I have the basic structure of the dome, and I am complete on that front. Now, how does it look on this side? Alright, that's okay. That's okay. Alright. Yeah, that actually doesn't look bad. Not bad at all. How about terracotta? I wonder how terracotta would look instead of the... What does purple terracotta look like? I better see what that looks like before I make a decision on that. Glazed terracotta is always tough to place. Now, how am I going to do this properly? If I put this here and put that there, I think I may have to do this and put that there. Right. Looks like no matter what I do, it's going to come out wrong. I've decided that I don't like what I've done here. I'm going to replace this with one that is just using the amethyst. Well, I am still going to keep the lit blocks because I do need light up here. Otherwise, I have a big danger of mobs spawning up there. Ah, I like this much better. I think I will go with this and keep this for a while. Well, at least that's how it looks on the inside. Now let's see how it looks outside. Okay. Alright, we'll keep it this way for a while. I may decide to have the mushroom stripe just go all the way around on there, but that's a possibility. But for now, we'll just keep it this way. And then go to the next area, and that's going to be our fossils. There are 2 basic types of fossils. You have the overworld fossils, and you have the nether fossils. The nether fossils, they're not particularly interesting, so I'm going to concentrate on the overworld ones. Though, one problem we have with overworld fossils is that they are very hard to find. If you go looking under deserts, and if you go looking under swamps and mangrove swamps, if you're lucky, you may eventually run into one if you dig under them at the proper layers. the odds of me finding one then are quite small on that. So I am going to do the next best thing and build my own. And fortunately, I have plenty of bone blocks thanks to our friend the skeleton spawner. As I don't want to completely cover up this nice little pattern here, I'm going to be placing some temporary blocks right over here. Then we are going to place our blocks right here, right here, right here, right here. Then go back by 3. We are going to need a few more temporary blocks so that we can get this properly done. Alright, good. That's going to be the lower layer. Now this is going to be the largest of the head fossils that they have. So yes, I am trying to see if I can duplicate one of the existing fossil formats. So we're going to start out with this. And then on top of that, we are going to have our next layer. Strangely enough, not a single one of the blocks on the next layer are in the same coordinates as the one on the previous layer. That's a little unusual in there, but that is the case. So I will just put a temporary block into each location in here that corresponds to what we'll be doing here. So I need that, 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 and that these are going to be done oops, I got that one a little bit off. The idea there is that the ones on the sides are vertical and the ones on the others are going to be going between the two, and then finally on the others. Actually, it's not finally because we still have the end over there to do. And let's make sure I'm thinking about this properly. Oh yes, we have just this and this. That can get rid of the tent blocks. The sides at this point are going to be straightforward because they are going to be the same for the next 2 layers. Same thing over here. Same thing over here. And then over on the back side of the same. Actually, I still don't know exactly which is the back and which is the front, but this I'm calling the back side. There we go. And then that just leaves what we are doing over on here. And this one is a bit like that, I believe. Okay, we need a little bit more for the next layer up. Alright. Right, because now in the center we are going to have another pair, so we'll just do this. Grab a couple more blocks like that. Good. Then we can take that down, and now we just need the top, which is just a straightforward block of 20 right over there. So we just need 1/10 to give us a seed. Actually, I think that's a better spot for a seed. Like that. We'll just use the entire rows as for seed here so that I could place them properly and get them. And I think it'll be done once I do that. Now we do have a little bit of a lighting issue here that I need to resolve. There we go. And I think it's done. Yes. Well, I can get done this way, of course. Now imagine walking into the museum and seeing this thing facing you. That's a pretty big head over there. I think that makes a nice centerpiece. And I managed to get it so that it doesn't cover up any of my lights, nor my center over there. I think that's nice. Well, there is the problem of light. I got a little idea here. What if we gave this thing a pair of eyes? So just put that there and there. We could just say an artistic rendering of where the eyes may have been, and that gives this a nice lit feel so that the people who come here can just go on and take a look inside there. So that is our huge skull, and that will be our centerpiece exhibit for this museum. Now on this side we could put a rib cage, and then that will be a little bit easier to build than the skull was. Now do the other side. This is a relatively small rib cage because I think the larger ones aren't going to fit all that well, and we obviously need to allow the patrons to be able to walk around in the area. Now this is one of the largest builds I've made, and when it comes to holding in fossils, from that point of view, it's maybe too small for that particular purpose. Oh well. I think I would have had a lot more trouble if I attempted to build a larger museum. So we'll solve this. So this could be well, this is Pinetopia's museum. It's not like it's a national museum or anything like that. So it being relatively small is probably a good idea. There we go. And for the top section, I wanted to start with the spinal column. So I am doing this one first. So I had all those temporary blocks there in order to make sure that I get the spinal column out first. So that's the one that's going to be a nice, consistent layout, and then we could put the tops of the ribs right along each side. I've placed the other small rib cage over on this side, so now we have 3 fossil exhibits, and I think that's all that we're really going to fit into this room. If I put any more in here, it would be way, way, way too cramped. I would like there to be plenty of room around this corner here so you could go between the 2 wings. Now, we do have plenty of space here down in these sections, so these are going to be dedicated for smaller exhibits here. So far I've got the pottery. If I can get more pottery, that would be great. Armor stands, I shouldn't have too much trouble getting more armor stands. I would hope to like to get some other types in here so I could put them up here. Because so far I've got some gold armor with some red trim on there. So I'm going to need a little bit of work on that department. It needs finding more trims, but I haven't had too much exploration done in which to find those things. And on this side, well, we do have all the amethyst over here, but not yet much over on here. So I'll have to come up with something for each of these sides. But that will be later. What do we need now for the next stage of the museum? Oh yes, the portico. Perhaps we should look at this in the next episode of the Museum of Pine Ridge.